This is Desiree and Chris reporting from ESCKAZ. We have just both watched the first dress rehearsal from semi-final 1, and I watched it in the hall and Chris watched it here from the screens. So what we are going to do now is go through all the songs, tell you what we think about it and whether we think if a country will be a qualifier or not. So Chris, starting with Sweden of course, what did you think about it?
I think Sweden came together quite nicely now. I think it had some struggles earlier in the week. Maybe some issues with the vocal sound. You know, they have to recreate the backing track from Melodifestivalen with live vocals, and it doesn't always quite sound the same. But I think in the end it sounded pretty fine today, and I think they don't have much to worry about in the semi-final, to be honest.
Yeah, to summarize it, I also think the same. I think it will definitely qualify. It's probably not one of my favorite songs, but it comes across really well on the screens. It looks very professionally, so there are no questions for me about Sweden.
Yeah, I think I would add one thing that could be slightly concerning, and I feel that sometimes there's a bit of arrogance coming across on screens. Would you agree with it?
Yeah, could be. I don't know really.
I don't know. I mean, I get the idea that Robin is not an arrogant person, right? So maybe people pick it up and see it more like a little ironic act. But in his postcard, for example, you see Robin like showing his jacket, and then there's like his signature inside. And I'm not quite sure how it will travel with first-time viewers. But after all, I would say that Sweden should not worry about qualification.
Yeah, well, we agree on that then, at least. And then we move on to Georgia for, Tamara. She's on the second spot, so that's always a bit cursed. But I would think that this year Georgia has no issues to qualify because she is a really, really good singer. It's a dramatic song. It is one of the borderline qualifiers for me, but if I look at it overall, I think she's going to make it this year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. I think she's really fine as a vocalist. It's really tough. I mean, I wouldn't rule out that she qualifies, but at the moment I get some slightly aggressive feelings from the whole presentation. Like she's dressed in all red, and it's very fierce and very like not really the visual message that you want to send when the message of the song is actually about hope, or it's about keeping the faith, you know. And in this case, it's more like you have to keep the faith. And I just don't know. Something doesn't quite fit. But on vocals alone, she should go through. And Georgia also has some friends here. I think they can probably expect good televote result and good jury result from Armenia, because they usually vote for Georgia. And there's a few other nations from that bloc, so I wouldn't rule it out. But at the moment, I wouldn't be so sure, and I'm saying it's very borderline right now.
Yeah, well, they also have Azerbaijan, of course. So that's another neighbor, also in the same semi-final, so they could definitely help.
Oh, I don't know if Azerbaijan is going to vote so much for Armenia, but yeah.
We're talking about Georgia now. Armenia will be later.
Yeah, you're right, of course.
That is much later.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was thinking about Armenia already.
No.
Kind of a tell, right?
Yeah. We're going a bit
so
too
excited to talk about Armenia that I just can't wait. All right.
Okay. Turn back. We're just going to stay with the third song, which is Australia. And I can't really say much more about it, and then I think it will qualify. But on the other hand, I am not really sure myself what I think about the staging. So it's a bit hard for me, but still I don't think they will have any trouble.
Really vanilla, middle of the road. Usually that works with Eurovision juries. From what I've seen today, I'm not quite sure if he can handle the pressure of the event. Like I'm sensing some nerves in his performance, and if your viewers pick this up, I don't know if Australia has like some voting strength in Europe. I don't think there's many Australian diaspora votes coming from them, but they've always done very well so far. And I'm also not quite sure, but here I would definitely lean qualifier, just because it's a competent, polished, modern produced, and the staging is also the staging works overall. A bit of arrogance here as well, but maybe that's just my personal preference.
Yeah. So after Australia, we get Albania. And I think that's one that's going to struggle as well, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she didn't quite give it all today. I think she held her voice back a little bit. But the staging overall is a bit messy, and it is all just such a tormented feeling you get from it. So it's not really a pleasant. Like Australia before, in comparison, he has a really pleasant voice, and it's just pleasing to the ears. In Albania's case, I'm not quite sure if the emotional response to the act is something you would want on a Eurovision night.
Yeah.
So.
I also think that the song is not that outstanding, and today she was quite struggling vocally. And of course, it can be a thing that she was holding back for tonight's rehearsal, and of course for the semi-final tomorrow. But it could also be a sign that she has been performing too much. So yeah, I think it will be one to look out for. And
also, you think she has she had too many performances in the Euro Club and now is struggling to keep the voice on the level that we've known from her? Or?
Well, she has been performing a lot in the Euro Club. I can't judge if that is the reason why she had problems, but it will be for sure something that can be a factor if Albania would have any chance to make it or not.
Yeah. I give her the benefit of the doubt at the moment, but I think even if the vocals are really flawless, it might still be not enough.
Yeah, well, I am really afraid that Albania won't be making it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, okay. So now we have Belgium, and I think we are going to be quite divided on this one. What do you think about it?
Well, I personally like the song from Belgium, and I know that you don't. Not liking even put it to is
no, yeah, that's quite right.
Okay, so you don't despise it, you don't know. Okay.
No,
you just think it's overrated in terms of love. No, I think Belgium's song is quite unique and special, and I also feel like I'm connecting with her now more. She is very inexperienced, and of course that's going to be a problem in a live show. No question about it. But there's some magic, for me at least, happening in this performance that I'm not ruling out Belgium. Like many people here already think like she's a lost case, but I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't written off Belgium yet, and I think she might actually surprise us and be in one of the envelopes that are being revealed in the first semi-final results.
Yeah, well, for now I am saying that Belgium won't qualify. We saw, of course, today the black dress. I know that there was a lot of criticism on the white one, but I think the white one was better than what she is wearing today, because it makes it all look much darker, and since she's not the most charismatic singer, I'm afraid it won't do her any better to be wearing this black dress.
I disagree with that. I think the black dress works much better because the backdrop is already really light. There's a lot of white light, and I think it puts her in a nicer contrast, also with her really light skin in the black dress. And I think just the overall message of the song is something special and something that should be in a Eurovision final. It's about, in the end, it's about young people's struggle in modern world and in modern cities. It's city lights, and I think that there's just something really unique about it, and I really hope she will make it.
Yeah. And what about the vocals today?
About the vocals, I think they were much better. They were problematic earlier, but today they sounded fine. I don't think any juror should mark her down for vocals, and she has a really interesting voice. You don't find these voices so often, and I think that. Yeah, okay, I'm getting carried away on Belgium again, and you probably want to move on, but I just want to stress that she's getting a lot of hate around here, which she doesn't deserve. She's inexperienced, yes, but her inexperience in this song kind of works for me, and it could be quite a magical moment, actually. Maybe she doesn't qualify, I wouldn't say it's 100% sure, but if she performs tonight for the juries and tomorrow for the live show, then I think, okay, but enough with the Belgium.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't that quite sure on the vocals, but yeah, we will see what happens tonight and tomorrow. And indeed, a lot of talking about Belgium. So let's move on to the other country, Montenegro.
Okay. Yes, it's entertaining. He has stagecraft. I think he wants to be on a stage, but in the end, I don't think that he is seen as credible enough for professional jurors to say this is like something that represents modern commercial pop music or anything. It's more like the kind of camp Eurovision act, and historically juries have tended to mark these ones really close to the bottom, and therefore I think juries will prevent Montenegro from reaching the final this year.
Yeah, well, I think indeed that if Montenegro will make it, it will be thanks to the televoting, because I think he has quite a nice draw after a few ballads, but then the song is also really, really strange, really out of the box. And another thing that might help them is that they have changed a little bit on the visuals. Like at some points the camera comes down and Slavko is laying on the floor. And first we had a visual with him with clear pink, bright pink lip gloss, and that is gone now, so it looks a little bit less over the top. So it might help a bit, but yeah, for now I'm still saying it doesn't qualify.
Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah, so then after the break there is Finland. Well, it just sounds and it looks amazing, and I see someone agrees behind the camera.
It's always good to have the cameraman to agree with you, otherwise he might run off or just turn us off, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Finland. It looks great. It sounds great. It should qualify, really. Is there anything more to say about it?
No. Finland really is really something really special, and it would be really sad if we would lose it. Sometimes in the back of my mind, I have a little concern that perhaps the general public, the wider audiences are not gonna warm as much as we do here. Like we are all feeling it, like we're seeing Finland on screens, and we are kind of influencing each other in this Eurovision bubble, you know, and thinking like this is so wonderful and it must go through. But I think in the end so many people here cannot be so wrong about how fantastic it looks, and it always sounds fantastic. But yeah, I'm always trying to stay on the cautious side, as you know.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, of course, they are after a break, because after Montenegro we have a break. So if people would not see and hear the song from the beginning, they might, I don't know, maybe appreciate it a bit less. So, yeah. For now, I still hope and think that Finland's going to qualify. And on we move to Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you want me to start on Azerbaijan, as I see you looking at me.
Yeah.
Well, Azerbaijan, it's it looks really, really great on screen, especially when you're looking at it from the hall. It's not that amazing, but yeah, it's very strong visually, especially the images in the box. I think the backdrop that you have could be shown more, because the backdrop behind the box and above it is really beautiful as well. I am still worried a bit about her vocals in the long notes.
Yeah, I don't think people will pay so much attention to the vocals on this one, just because the stage show is something so unique, and I've never seen something like that on Eurovision before. Like it's real piece of theater art, and I think, as you said, it probably doesn't work as well in the arena. But if you just look at the screens, the first minute or the first 90 seconds of the song, with her, with everything, with the anxiety, this nightmarish vision, and there's the horseman on the ladder, and I just think it's something extremely out of this world, and I really enjoy this. I think it falls a little bit apart in the later parts of the performance, when the box opens and then it gets a bit messy, and you get you kind of lose the plot a little bit, what it's all about. She takes chalk and puts crosses on the coats, and you're not exactly sure. But I mean, that's what art is about, you know. You don't always have to understand everything, but as long as it kind of influences you. So I think it's a very, very brave choice of staging, and for that alone, I think Azerbaijan absolutely deserves to qualify this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely their best entry since I don't even remember when.
Okay, well, I have no doubts about their qualification either. And on we move to Portugal, and I know our cameraman will be very curious at this moment, because he is from Portugal. Well, I was in the hall. It was, of course, the most expected rehearsal of today, because it was the first time that we saw Salvador on stage himself, as before we have only seen his sister Louisa. And he got a huge reception in the hall. Even before he would sing a note, well, the people who were there went basically crazy for him. And the performance was really, really stunning. Luckily, there were lots of people already around the area where he was standing, so we could get a bit of an idea how it would really look and sound in a hall full of people. But yeah, there's only one doubt. Let's hope there won't be flags blocking the sight and destroying the magic of the song and the performance.
You mean flags like for Anouk in 2013?
Yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, that's a worry for me too. Like placed on the satellite stage, we are not quite sure yet how it's going to look with fans surrounding him. But from what I've seen today, it's pretty impressive. I mean, the camera work is very slow. You could almost even say static, but for this kind of nostalgia, you know, time traveling back to the 50s kind of song, I think it works much better than camera shots circling around him or anything we've seen from the Portuguese national final. So I'm okay with it, giving it like this retro kind of look.
Yeah.
And there's a forest in the background. I don't mind it personally. I think, I mean, I was concerned a bit about the forest in the backdrop being a bit too cliché or too kitsch, you know.
In the hall, at least, the forest is really, really beautiful.
It is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think most of the people will feel the same when they see it on the screen. So I personally don't need it, because for me, Portugal is all about him, all about his little ticks and tiny pieces of interpretation. And but yeah, we don't have doubts that Portugal is going to make the final with ease, right?
No, absolutely sure qualifier.
Absolutely.
It would be the shock non-qualifier of the year if that happens. And
yeah,
I don't think it would be any good thing for Eurovision if Portugal doesn't qualify.
Definitely. I don't think everyone will get it, but I think there will be enough people who will absolutely love it, and it might even win the entire contest.
Yeah, that's true. It can happen, and then we're going to Lisbon next year.
Which
or
would be
maybe
nice.
somewhere else, we will see. Well, next one then is Greece. Song number 10, so we went over half now. What do you think about Greece?
I don't want to be too harsh, because I've kind of become friends with a few people of the delegation, you know, and they're like really great people. Dami's dancers are like two of the most entertaining people I've met in my whole Eurovision experience.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed for them, and I think they got a lot of things going for them. Like it's a friendly final for Greece. They have a lot of friends voting here. I think Demi has good stagecraft. She's really professional. She looks good. And yeah, the only problem I have at the moment is that the vocals in the chorus are not quite there yet. And I'm not sure, after seeing it struggle in all the rehearsals so far, I'm not quite sure they will get it right for the live show. So that's my worry for Greece. But if they get it right, then they should be.
And with the vocals in the chorus, do you mean then her own vocals or the backing vocals?
I'm not quite sure. I actually haven't figured out who's kind of being off key there. But in the chorus, in the "This Is Love" part, it's just something doesn't work.
I agree, and I am afraid it is the backing vocals. I've been saying all along that the backing vocals seem not to actually help her.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my only issue. But it looks great. It sounds great, and well. Last year Greece didn't qualify, but that song was really on a much lower standard than this thing, I think.
Oh, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think then that Greece will have no problem, and we will see them in the final once again. And what about Poland?
I went back and forth on Poland so far. I really loved their first rehearsal. She was extremely toned down. The makeup, she looked like completely like an angel, and it was something really pleasant about it somehow. I mean, the staging is borderline kitsch, but her vocals were also this kind of fragile, and I really like fragile or just different sides of conveying emotion. And now she's a bit back to overselling, like being a bit over dramatic, even getting a bit shouty. And I mean, this is probably just personal preference, but I want to have variation between the fragile parts and the louder and dramatic parts, and I don't need all the way through shouting and drama. And and it's just a bit too much right now for me. And they also kind of she shows a little bit more cleavage right now, and I'm not sure. I'm on the fence on Poland at the moment.
I will just say that I think at this moment that Poland is not going to make it. I think that I was really, really happy with the first part of her rehearsal today, because she seemed to be holding down a lot more, which is what I really, really like about the studio version, that it's been very subdued, very subtle. But then during the second chorus she went all in again, and the way she sings, if I try to describe my emotion, what I get from it, it would probably be anger. So I don't think that's a good emotion to get from a song. And it's too shouty. I think it will be too much for people thinking, hey, why is this woman screaming and shouting so much? So I am afraid that Poland will not be in the final this year, after a surprising result last year when they were actually one of my favorites.
Where do you think will Poland do better, with the televoters or with the juries? Or worse?
Well, I find it hard to say what it will be.
I mean,
televoting or
if I remember correctly, in the Polish national final, she did better with the juries than the televote, right? Like, she wasn't the public's favorite, but the juries all gave her like the full amount of points. So I guess if juries focus on vocals, juries could help her. Plus some Polish voting strength. I wouldn't completely rule it out right now. I think there's UK voting in this first semi-final, right? So
yes,
she will probably pick up some televotes from UK.
Yeah, that's true.
And who knows? Maybe it's enough to sneak through.
It could be. I mean, at some point I had to choose some countries that go through and not, and I went for Poland as a non-qualifier, but it can sneak through it indeed. So then to a completely different song, Moldova, which is actually one of my favorites this year. And it still comes across really, really well in the whole. It sounds great, it looks great, it's entertaining, there's a party going on stage. And as an artistic song, as a masterpiece of music, that's really not something how you should look at it. But between many, many ballads, I think this could do really, really well.
That's definitely in its favor, that there's a lot of ballads in there, and that's kind of the fun entry, the one to actually start the party at a later position in the running order. I'm not quite sure about the whole wedding theme. If that's is that something you think adds to the performance? Or for me, I kind of preferred them when they were in the pre-parties and a little bit more cool, like sunglasses and Hey Mama and the epic sex man and everything. And now they're just dressed in these wedding outfits. The girls have a costume change, and it's always like borderline cheap in its presentation a bit. So I'm also not 100% sure about Moldova. I'm never 100% sure, as you know.
Yeah, well, it's of course hard. You never know what is going to happen in the jury final and in the semi-final tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think they will do better with the juries than Montenegro will.
Okay.
So they have that.
Yeah. So well, for now, I say yes to Moldova. What do you say?
I'm borderline and leaning to no, actually. Would be a surprise, but I'm willing to be brave with my predictions here. I don't hold back.
So then we go to Iceland, and well, it was only the second time that I saw Svala on stage, and I think that she is vocally really, really good, but I am also afraid that is kind of the one of few things that she has going for her, because her song is great as well, definitely, but the way it's staged, I mean, she's only alone at stage, and it might be a bit empty.
It is empty, yeah. I don't know if it's part of the concept, or I don't know if it would look better if there would be props. I mean, it should be all about her. I just feel like the whole presentation is very incoherent. Like, she has like this really cool look about her, like tattoos, but then she's wearing a kind of cape, a white cape, princess cape, and then she's also one who's not afraid to show a little bit of cleavage and in this case perhaps it's even a bit more offensive to some viewers than Poland is. I'm not sure. No. It's all a bit incoherent. The song is about paper, you cut right through me, so it's actually about weakness, but her presentation is like really strong and tough and in your face, and I always have a problem if presentation is incoherent with the song. That's like what I said is positive about Belgium. Like it's a song about insecurity, so she is insecure, and it's a match.
Okay.
This is a song where it's about being fragile or vulnerable, and she's this tough girl from Reykjavik, and I don't quite get a clear message from it overall. But I think her vocals are fine, but in the end I don't think that enough people will warm to her, and through the incoherence I think Iceland is missing out again this year, unfortunately.
I do think and hope maybe she could get some jury votes because of her excellent vocals and also the really good song. I mean, I remember that when it was presented as one of the national final entries in Iceland, immediately it was a huge favorite, and then it lost some momentum because of the presentation, but the song is still there and her vocals are always more than on spot. So let's move to the Czech Republic, and I think that's another one where we are both sure about that
it's not going to qualify.
Yeah, I mean, she is also one of the best singers this year. She's really great vocally, but
completely unhappy about the presentation. I think she's a jazz singer, so she needs a classy presentation, and this just doesn't work for me. Walking around, the colors, the purple and yellow makes her pantsuit. Everything is just not really pleasant to look at, and I don't think many people will appreciate the entry enough to get her through to the final. Czech Republic don't have a lot of voting strength, and I think we can rule that one out actually. Okay. And it's kind of sad because she's really quite talented.
Yeah, that's true. I also feel the same. Let's hope for a miracle, but for now I'm also saying no here. And then we're moving on to the last 4 songs, and the first of them is Cyprus. And what do you think about it?
Cyprus for me is too much choreography and not enough song. Like I think you can take a fragment of 20 seconds of the song and you basically got the whole song, because it's like this thing all over again. I feel it's very repetitive. The show is interesting to watch to look at. I'm not quite sure about Cyprus's overall appeal as a modern song presentation, because it all looks a bit like I don't want to be mean, but it almost looks like a circus act to me, and I don't particularly think there should be a place for Cyprus in the final with that. But Hovig seems to be a relatable, nice guy, and he gives good camera, so that might be something that helps him through after all.
For me, Cyprus is probably the hardest one to say anything about, as I've only seen one rehearsal before. I missed the second one, and in the hall the screens were not working during this song, so I haven't seen how it worked today. But with all the doubts going on, it's not really mentioned a lot, so I'm also going to say for now that it's not going to be in the final. But
that's interesting, because I think in the betting markets at the moment think that Cyprus is going to make the final. So we are in that case in disagreement perhaps with the market. So
that could be. But
we will probably be the ones who look stupid after it, because Cyprus will just qualify with ease. But whatever.
Yeah, well, like I said, I haven't seen it. So if I had seen the performance now, I might have thought. I've seen the performance, of course, from the hall, but I haven't seen how it looks on screens. So I might think different, but for now it's a no from me. And then we move on to Armenia. And what about them? You were talking about Armenia a long time ago.
For some reason I was talking about Armenia when we were actually talking about Georgia. Yeah. Maybe I just mixed them up because they are both like strong female presentations. They both have the same staging director or choreographer from Sweden, Baptiste. And she always delivers. I think she also does the staging for Australia, and she always delivers, like, especially with females, like last year Armenia, the Love Wave, Iveta. She always delivers performances for strong females, fierce, and it's very professional. The choreography is super slick. I'm just not 100% sure about the song for Armenia. Like last year, they already struggled a little bit, I think, with the song actually not being strong enough for a really high result, because I think performance-wise it could have gotten top 4 if the song was stronger last year. And I have similar concerns for this year. So I think definite qualifier, no doubt about it. Probably one of the most professional ones in the first semifinal. Probably the professional one in the overall production. For the final, I would say I don't see it as a winner.
Well, this is actually one of the songs I kind of changed my opinion about during this rehearsal. I always liked the song, and I still like the song quite a lot. But I wasn't really sure about the staging. I thought there had to be more on it. But today, when focusing also on how it looks on the screen and together with how it comes across in the arena, I think it is really, really, really a strong one. And I could see Armenia as a surprise this year. So,
as a surprise winner?
Winner, maybe not, but I could see it finishing really, really high. You're doubting about top 5, but I wouldn't be surprised at all there.
Okay.
So then the last 2 songs, and the first one of them is Slovenia. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, personally, my taste is Slovenia too old-fashioned, too dated as a song, but I think there's an audience for it. And I think whenever you manage to cater to this audience through staging, through presentation, there is a chance. Like before coming to Kiev, I said Slovenia got no chance to make the final. Now I'm not so sure anymore because the staging looks good. He makes good use of the stage, the light chandelier. It's an uplifting feeling. Everything is very cool and modern about it, and he gives good camera interaction. So Slovenia might be the one that surprises us actually and goes through.
Well, I don't really agree on that uplifting feeling about Slovenia. It has lyrics like.
He's on his way.
Yeah.
He's on his way to the final, I would say.
But it's well, that could be. But no, I don't agree. I think that Slovenia is not going to qualify. But I only mentioned 9 songs so far that will qualify. So then you know which one is going to be my 10th one. Soon on to that. But
but what about his vocals? Do you think? I mean, he's like experienced. He's been to Eurovision before. Did not qualify back then, but I think. He improved?
He is an experienced vocalist and he can really sing well, but still there have been some moments where he missed notes, and I think that vocals can be an issue for him as well. So at this moment, and with the song included that might not appeal to everyone, I'm going to give it a no. But the last song is Latvia, and well, I think we have talked about Latvia quite a bit in the last week.
Yeah.
But actually I'm going to say now that I think it can qualify.
All right.
I am taking it as my 10th qualifier, and that is mainly because today in the hall there was quite a big reaction to it. People were really clapping along with the rhythm of the song, and you know that the backdrop is also probably my favorite one this year, with the drumming and dancing robot guys. So yeah, I think it's a really great closing act for the day.
Okay, yeah, I went to Kiev really optimistic about Latvia, and at the moment I'm not that sure anymore. I think it doesn't have the cool, dark underground atmosphere it had in the Latvian national final. In Supernova it looked like really credible, and now the stage is very bright. You see lots of little details. The walls they brought, the neon walls, everything is a bit too bright for me, and it doesn't have this underground club atmosphere anymore. But I mean, most of the viewers won't know how it looked in the Latvian super final, right? So true. They don't bring this bias with them that I'm bringing here. But I was really optimistic going into the contest that they would do really well. And at the moment, I'm concerned that it looks a bit too cheap, and perhaps juries will not quite get it and will not quite go for Latvia in the end, which could then make it miss out despite performing last, which is usually the best spot one can possibly be in a semi-final, right? I mean, there's usually the last one to perform qualifies.
It does, but it's no guarantee, and the Netherlands knows all about that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, we've been through all 10 songs now. I've already mentioned song by song which one I think will qualify. I will sum them up once more. I say that for now it's going to be Sweden, Georgia and Australia, so the first 3 of them. No second world position girls on this one. Then some that miss out, then we have Finland and Azerbaijan in. I say Portugal and Greece make it, Moldova, Armenia, and last but not least Latvia. What would be your 10 qualifiers?
Okay. Can I have the list, because I don't have an all mine. Okay, so I'm gonna say Sweden, yes. Georgia, no. Australia, yes. Albania, no. Belgium, yes. Montenegro, no. Finland, yes. Azerbaijan, yes. Portugal, yes. Greece, no. Poland, yes. Moldova, no. Iceland, no. Czech Republic, no. Cyprus, no. Oh, that's a lot of no's. Armenia, yes. Slovenia, yes. And I don't know, how many did I have now? 9 or?
I think that as well. I think you're probably at 10 already.
I think I was at 9 actually, so then I can get Latvia in. If I was at 10 already, then Latvia's out. So that's basically where I draw the line.
Okay, yeah, that's a very fitting end to it. We're also going to draw the line right now. So this was our review for the first semi-final. And in 2 days, I think we will be back here for the second semi-final, right?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, if the viewers just give us a lot of dislikes, we will probably not bother to do it again. But I mean,
that's not going to happen. Come on, we did all this effort for it. So this was Desiree and Chris reporting for ESCKAZ, and we will be back soon.
Thank you.